When people hear the word chiropractor, they usually picture cracking, twisting, quick fixes for back pain. But that's not what we do. In fact, our entire approach flips that expectation on its head. Welcome to Healing Beyond the Symptoms, the podcast that helps people discover the root causes of their health struggles and take back control with science, strategy, and self-awareness. I'm Dr. Leah Hahn, a chiropractor and functional wellness doctor who believes that true healing starts beneath the surface. So let's dive in. What do most people expect from traditional chiropractic? I hear all kinds of things that people expect, but the most common things are they focus on structure. They're looking at alignment, hard cracking adjustments, and there's a huge focus on pain relief, specifically back pain relief. And that can be helpful, but for many people, it doesn't really last. The tension, the fatigue, the anxiety, or maybe all of their other symptoms come back over time. So many patients will tell me that I work with now that will say, I felt better for a few days, but the pain would always come back. The brain fog would always come back. I would stop sleeping well. I would notice that I had just even more tension within my body. So their stress and their symptoms would always return. Relief is not the same as rewiring or reorganizing the nervous system. It's very different than actual healing. So what makes our approach so different? Well, the first thing for Network Spinal is that we don't use cracking or twisting or popping. When you come in for an adjustment, you're actually laying fully clothed on a chiropractic table. It's very comfortable. We may use pillows or bolsters to help you feel comfortable. We go through a very specific process of analyzing what's happening within your spine. So in chiropractic school, we were taught to analyze someone's structure. We were taught to use different methods to find what are called subluxations or misalignments that are affecting the spine and the nervous system. Network Spinal takes that to a whole new level. We are looking at all kinds of subtleties that are happening within your spine. And remember that we've gone through a whole process of testing. So we have all of that background information to guide us. But then when we start to feel the spine, I'm feeling what's happening in the different, what are called subsystems of the spine. And one is passive, meaning I'm feeling the tone of the vertebrae. When we think of the spine, we want flexibility. We want the ability to move. And so I'm measuring what kind of tone is happening within the vertebrae. Is it really stuck or hard like concrete? Or is it flexible and adaptable? All of that tells me information. In fact, the longer the tension has been in the spine, the higher the passive tension will be. The more trauma that is stored in the spine and hasn't been digested or integrated into the nervous system, the more passive tension will be in the spine. So we look at that. We look at how the muscles surrounding that tension in the bone, how are those muscles responding? Are they actively engaged? Are they actively trying to protect what's happening within the bone? Or are they disengaged? Is it a chronic pattern in which the muscles are not really engaged to try to support the spine at all? That tells me, again, chronic issue versus maybe something that happened a few days ago or a week ago. Then we look at chemical tone within the spine. So maybe you haven't been making the best food choices, or maybe you had to take an antibiotic for a period of time. That can create some toxicity within the structures of the spine, specifically the tissue, the soft tissue and connective tissue. So I'm going to feel specifically around the neck. I want to feel what that tone feels like because I can get an idea of if there's like a support for detox that's needed or if there's this inflammatory tone that's happening within the spine. I'm going to look at neural tension parameters. I'm going to look at how, is your leg length different from one side to the other? I'm going to move your heels around, which is going to show me what kind of tension is stored in the tendons of the body. Again, that gives me information about the neural system. Is there a lot of spinal cord tension? That spinal cord tension is often what people feel and identify that they can't really describe. They'll say, I just feel this chronic level of tension in my mid-back or my neck. Well, that's not just from one vertebrae being misaligned. That's from tension that's affecting the whole neural system. So we want to identify that and we want to find the root causes of that. Each of those layers of information, again, they may be subtle, but they're added up to a whole picture, holistically looking at what's happening with someone's spine. And I'm going to attribute all that to the work of Dr. Donald Epstein, the founder of Network Care, who over years and years and years has refined that analysis system so we get so much information about what's really truly affecting someone's health. It's also important that we look at the energy that someone carries. I'm looking at how they walk into the adjustment room. I'm looking at what their posture looks like when they are maybe entering notes into our computer system. I'm looking at and listening to the tone and how they speak and the words that they use. I'm going to look at how all of that information will help someone move into a more regulated state and really look at how we're going to help to repattern their nervous system. With Network Spinal, we focus on the nervous system in general. Pain is often a surface symptom of deeper dysregulation. But it also tells me a lot about the patterning that your system has become accustomed to using, maybe over many, many years, maybe over decades. You've heard us say that you're not broken, you're patterned. But your body experienced overwhelming information at one time, or maybe many times, and that your nervous system had to learn ways to cope with that overwhelm, or when there was just too much happening within your world. And it may have used some amazing short-term solutions, but when it started to use that patterning over and over again until it became your norm, it wasn't helpful in the long run. That type of patterning could be causing the pain that you're experiencing. And yes, you could thrust into the spine and give it a short-term, quick kind of relief, but that isn't going to repattern or rewire what's happening within your nervous system. So when we're analyzing the spine and we're really getting a sense of what's happening within your body, we're looking at how that patterning was used over and over again in your system until it formed your spinal structures, the muscle tone, the chemical tone, the physical structural tone of your system. And if we're going to repattern it, we need your nervous system to be more adaptable. We need to teach it to be more resilient. And that's where we come into that, what we talk about as reorganization. We need to reorganize how the nervous system is functioning. And that's what Network Spinal does. So yes, I could move a vertebrae with traditional chiropractic, but I'm not repatterning the nervous system if I do that. I'm going for your long-term healing solution. I'm going for you living your best life, for being able to reclaim who you really are beyond stress physiology. And in order to do that, we need to get to the root cause. And so really getting in touch with the nervous system and being able to reorganizing the nervous system is one of the most important things that we could do in order to achieve that goal. The choices that we make within our lives, whether we honor ourselves or not, has so much to do with our energetic tone and frequency. If we've been stuck in the same pattern for many, many years or many decades, there's usually not a lot of energy available for making changes in our lives or even being aware that a change needs to happen. We don't often have then the strategies that will allow us to break up that old patterning and move into something different. So as we repattern the nervous system, we actually free up energy. And that higher energetic state gives us the result of being able to recognize when it's time to change, when it's time to make a different choice. As practitioners of Network Spinal, we also practice trauma-informed care. What that means is that healing requires safety, not force. Our approach is designed to honor your sensitivities and create trust. As you move into safety, you're going to be able to reclaim an entirely new sense of well-being. And this happens over time. It's not an overnight process. But research by the University of Southern California, Irvine, actually showed that when you're under network spinal care and you're improving, or I like to even think of it as upgrading your nervous system, you're improving your level of overall well-being. You're improving your physical level of well being, meaning things like pain or headaches or your immune system all start to function at a whole new level. You start to improve your ability to heal itself in general. But you're also looking at how you can improve your emotional well being, your spiritual well being, as well as your mental well being. They even look at that as your life is so much more satisfactory. So there's different parts of wellness that improve as you move along this journey. Research also shows that network care has this incredible ability to suspend autonomic unconscious behavior patterns. So, what that means is that when we've experienced trauma, our body is most likely to live out of our lower brain centers, which produces automatic behaviors. And maybe these aren't the behaviors that we would ideally like to be living from. Maybe we've chosen coping mechanisms like overeating or drinking too much alcohol or overspending money. Things that, gosh, maybe we really wish we wouldn't continue to do those things. But that's automatic, unconscious behavior. When you start to move into healing, we can suspend that behavior so that you have more activity in the frontal cortex of your brain, the front lobe of the brain, that moves you into higher thinking, higher decision levels. In this case, what we see is as people heal, they make better decisions for themselves. They make the decisions that they would ultimately choose for maybe that best life instead, again, of moving into the old unconscious behaviors. This can be incredibly healing for trauma. And also, it can allow people to heal the trauma without even maybe having to talk about it. So, for some people, trauma really activates certain brain centers that move them into fight or flight, even if they start talking about the trauma. There's ways to reorganize and heal the nervous system in a safe way in which they don't actually have to talk about it. That itself can be incredibly healing. Another thing that's really important is how network care and the type of chiropractors that we are is so different, is that I obviously want you to have less pain. I would like you to experience pain relief. But I also want you to function and heal at your best. I have a higher goal for you than just being out of pain. In terms of that, when we focus on repatterning the nervous system, you're able to reconnect with yourself, with your needs, with your boundaries, with who you really are at a very deep level. With that new awareness and those connections, you're able to make those decisions that honor who you really are. And that reconnection allows you to reclaim your life. So, in terms of well being and in terms of really improving your life, I have a very high goal for you, more than just pain relief. And we do that through a very holistic lens, not a quick fix. We're actually looking beyond symptoms to patterns in your stress, in your posture, your breath, your lifestyle. I want to know more about the true source of pain or dysfunction that's happening within your body. So I'm going to look at tension in three different ways. I'm going to look at from an emotional cause, from chemical cause, and from a physical cause. Emotional meaning, again, what are the stressors that are happening within your life? What are the different emotional patterns that you're dealing with? What are the chemical patterns? Maybe there's too much sugar or there's foods that are allergenic to you that you're consuming on a regular basis. Maybe you're consuming alcohol on a regular basis and those things aren't serving you. But we want to look at what could be the chemical cause of dysfunction in the neurological system. And then we look at physical as well. Injuries, things that have happened to you throughout your history. Maybe you had a fall skiing. Maybe you had some sports injuries. Maybe you had some auto accidents. Maybe you sit at a desk every day, and that's really impacting you on a physical level. But we want to look at those things from a very holistic viewpoint: chemical, physical, emotion. What are those stressors that are creating the patterns that are happening within your nervous system? In order to do that, we want to give an individual more accessibility to new patterning, more adaptability, but I also want to give them ideas that help them address their lifestyle so that they're not recreating the same issues over and over again. So with Network Spinal, we're here for people who are stuck in stress, in anxiety, in fatigue, and they know that there's a deeper cause. We work with a lot of people who've tried everything. They've tried traditional chiropractic, they've tried billions of supplements, massage, physical therapy, and they're looking for a new approach that's maybe more holistic or puts it all together. We work with a lot of empaths and sensitives, deep thinkers who need gentle care that works for their body, not against their body. We also work with people who are ready to look beyond the quick fix and to view health in a whole picture. People who are ready to delve into those deeper levels of healing. I've worked with so many people that have said, I got manually adjusted, really forcefully adjusted for years. And it felt good at the time, but I never really made deeper changes. We are there for those people. That is what we do. We specialize in that. How can we truly reorganize how the nervous system is functioning? So, what can you expect from us when you come to Body in Balance or you're looking for nervous system based care? In our office, we use a very comprehensive approach. So we're looking at not only what's happening to you through your history, through your lens, through your stories, but we're also doing not only the consultation, but nervous system based testing. So we're looking at spinal EMG, we're looking at thermography, heart rate variability, and x rays when necessary. Each of those things provide different components of the puzzle. Each session, when you start care, is very gentle. It uses light contacts along the spine, and those adjustment processes are going to progress over time. As your nervous system gains strategies and releases tension, we're going to shift what we're doing to provide deeper levels of care and teaching your body how to function in a new way with new strategies. Over time, your body will learn how to shift out of survival mode and into healing and clarity and connection. We don't just treat the symptoms, we guide your nervous system into long-term change. Not all chiropractic is the same, and gentleness can be more powerful than force. By focusing on the nervous system, we help your body heal at the root, not just the surface. If traditional methods haven't worked for you, it doesn't mean you can't heal. It just means that you need a new approach. Thanks for joining me today on Healing Beyond the Symptoms. If you've ever felt like chiropractic care wasn't for you, I hope this episode opened your eyes to a different way. If you're ready to experience nervous system focused care, book a consultation at bodyinbalancechiropractic.com. And for daily insights, follow me on Instagram at Body in Balance Wellness Center. Until next time, breathe deep, listen in, and remember, gentle care creates profound results. Thanks again for joining me today on Healing Beyond the Symptoms. If you've been curious about Network Spinal, or if you've tried everything else and still feel stuck, I want you to know this. Your body is not broken. It's patterned, and those patterns can change. If you're ready to experience how gentle care can lead to profound transformation, I'd love to invite you to book a wellness consultation at bodyinbalancechiropractic.com. Together, we'll look at what your body needs to finally release, reset, and thrive. Until next time, breathe deep, trust your body, and remember, gentle can be powerful.